twice, once or twice.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to figure it out, like what comes next? Where do you start?
Yeah. So I learned my lesson, early on, and I, think back on that a lot. But what we had basically did was we like started to go to conferences and like talk to people and things like that. But it was so silly that the only integration that we had actually was with Salesforce. Okay. And I learned very quickly after going to a conference that was for like SAP or something like that, and like talking to people and like booking meetings with them and like us talking to them afterwards, that there was no fit there at all. And I'm sitting there going like, okay, well, if our only integration is with Salesforce, like I got to find companies that use Salesforce. Like that was my goal. Okay. So back in the day, like there was a couple ways you could do that because there were no like ways to like find out someone's technographics. So what I did is I did two things. Number one, I went to Salesforce's website and I looked at every single case study, that they had with every company out there, right? And I was like, all right, at least I know that they use Salesforce, so I can find out that information. And then the second thing was, and LinkedIn was like pretty new back then. It was like 2014, but you could at least run like a search for Salesforce admins, just like regular LinkedIn, not LinkedIn Sales Navigator, nothing fancy. What I did is I found every single like Salesforce admin on there, started like requesting to be their, like their friend on LinkedIn from a connection standpoint. And I had like this running list that I was writing down of all the companies that were out there that used Salesforce. Okay. And then that took me to list building. So back in the day, we had Inside View. And for those who don't know, that was kind of like the thing after data.com and before Zillow and all these other things, you could like people's email addresses and phone numbers and kind of like do like a mass export of a list of a company into Salesforce. So that's what I started doing. And just from there, like at least you had some like knowledge of if these people have the tool that you integrate with. But I didn't know like really like who to target. Like we had some idea, like maybe it was like an executive or like what size of company to really be going after. So really we just started like plugging away like one by one emails and calls to these people to try to figure out like who were the right people to talk to. And what I learned is like really easy to set a meeting with like a Salesforce admin, but not the best person for us to be talking to. Harder to set a meeting with, VP sales, CRO, but good people for us to be talking to. But at the time I got comped on meetings. So as you can imagine, Colin, I was like, hey, I'm going to do what I got to do here and, mix it up a little bit, but, just call Salesforce admins. That's what I was doing. What we did next was there was this tool out there called Tout. I don't know if you guys remember this one. Do you remember Tout?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I loved it, and I hated that it messed with it changed the way your Gmail looks.
Yeah.
And any tool that messes with the way my Gmail looks, I instantly dislike. And not that it was a bad app, and Streak CRM or whatever, they've got a great app too, but I hate it. I personally hate it. As a professional, I'm like, hey, it's a cool tool and I love what they're doing, but don't mess with my Gmail. Like it's one of those things. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me. And Tout was a big offender of that. It would like things would change and move around, and I just couldn't get over my one little blocker.